Okay, so now we will discuss our next question. So our next question is, the need of the hour is to design a blueprint so that the Indian society is better prepared from the negative consequences of globalization 4.0. Elaborate. 15 marks question again. Okay. So again, before starting the main discussion, we will discuss the relevance of this question first, as we will follow our tradition जो हम follow करते आ रहे हैं. We'll discuss the relevance, we'll discuss the approach. In approach we will cover uh, keywords, meaning of keywords, we'll cover the demand of the question, then we will discuss the intro part, how we can start an answer here. Now we will move forward, we'll discuss the main body. ठीक है. So here I will divide the main body in two parts. First part will be challenges. I'll mention the challenge, and in second part I will discuss about the framework. Okay, and finally we will conclude our answer. Okay, we'll learn how we can conclude our answer here. Okay, so now discuss the relevance. So as we know, globalization 4.0 or industrialization 4.0 is both an opportunity. It's both an what? Opportunity and challenge. So how it's an opportunity? Opportunity because it will increase global manufacturing output to address or to fulfill the rising demand हम humans की. Okay, so to address the rising demand, ठीक है, without hurting the environment. Most important thing is without hurting our environment. Okay, or we can say to make world more sustainable. It will make world more sustainable. So that was about opportunity. That is why it's an opportunity. And why it's a challenge because there is a fear of job losses. Why it's a challenge? Because there is a fear of rising inequality between whom? Between countries, developed and developing countries, and also within a country. Okay, so that is why it's an opportunity also, it's a challenge too. So when we discuss about globalization 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0, they are more concerned with what? They were more concerned with manufacturing. Means they were concerned about the people engaged in manufacturing sector. But globalization 4.0, it may hit people, will hit people engaged in what? People of service sector. ठीक है. So that is why it's a major concern, it's an opportunity also, and it's a concern too. That is why this question is here. Okay, and so that's all about the relevance. I'll discuss this relevance again. So we are considering globalization 4.0 and as a challenge and plus opportunity both at the same time. So I have mentioned the point why it's an opportunity, because it will increase global manufacturing output to fulfill our demand, rising demand, without hurting our environment. Okay, without hurting the environment. Why it's a challenge? Because of the fear of job losses and because of rising inequality. It may rise inequality, ठीक है, between the developed and developing countries and also within society. That is why it's a challenge. ठीक है, so that is why this topic becomes important from India's perspective. And now we'll move forward and we'll discuss the approach. Okay, I'll rub this. We will discuss approach now. So in approach, we are going to cover two things. We will understand some keywords here, and then we will see what's the demand of the question. Because to understand the demand of the question, it is important to understand the keywords first. ठीक है, कीवर्ड समझना पहले जरूरी है, then only you would be able to understand the demand of the question. Okay, so what are the keywords here? So our first keyword is most important, of course, globalization 4.0. So भाई ये क्या है? ठीक है, globalization 4.0 ये क्या है? Okay, so I'll use this fresh page. What is globalization 4.0? So it is recent form of globalization driven by technology. किससे driven है? Technology. ठीक है, technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, Internet of Things, etc. ठीक है, so ये है ग्लोबलाइजेशन 4.0 का डेफिनेशन. Okay, so our next keyword is elaborate. Means we have to bring a more detailed discussion here. ठीक है, how globalization 4.0 is can cause a negative consequence for Indian society. We have to bring a detailed discussion here. We are also if it's mentioned, question is asking you to elaborate, then of course you need to mention examples here in support of your argument, or in general also in your answers you can mention examples, and yes, with some diagrams wherever it is possible, not of course everywhere, but wherever possible, please use examples and diagrams to make your answer more rich. ठीक है, it looks like कि yes, you have means it makes your answer more rich, and plus yes, presentable also. Okay, so now we are done with the relevance part, we are done with the approach part, and now we'll move forward and we'll discuss the introduction part. So what could be the possible introduction here? I think question, now by now you have understood what question is all about. So I'll read this question again. Question says the need of the hour is to design a blueprint. Question is asking us to design a blueprint or to prepare a framework or draft so that we can prepare Indian society from the negative consequences of the globalization 4.0. ठीक है, elaborate. 15 marks, of course, 250 words, or maximum 2 pages. Okay, so that was all about the question. Now we'll discuss the introduction part. So this is our introduction. ठीक है, so now of course how we can start an answer, of course by giving definition here, by using any fact आप क्या यूज करोगे यहाँ पे. It would be better to start this answer with definition of globalization 4.0. So now let's read our intro part. What it says globalization 4.0 is the current stage of what globalization driven by technology. So I have mentioned here, it's globalization 4.0 is the current stage of globalization which is driven by technology like artificial intelligence, like Internet of Things. Of course, what it does, technology, what it does, it shrink the distance and open borders and bring people across the globe closer together. ठीक है, so that was all about the globalization. I have mentioned the definition here, plus I have mentioned the definition here, and in brief I have mentioned the advantages. एडवांटेजेस क्या मेंशन किए यहाँ पे मैंने कि इट श्रिंक्स द डिस्टेंस, इट ओपन द बॉर्डर्स एंड इट ब्रिंग पीपल अक्रॉस द ग्लोब क्लोजर टुगेदर. ओके, नाउ वी हैव मूव फॉरवर्ड, नाउ विल मूव फॉरवर्ड And now what I have mentioned, ki however Indian society can be negatively impacted because of its inherent impediments. Okay, मैंने ऊपर we have discussed key definition and plus advantages, but now I'm saying ki yes, but however Indian society may be impacted because of her inherent impediments, because of her inherent issues, or what we can say, yes, issues. So now we will discuss the issues. Okay, we will discuss the issues in short. So till now that's all about the intro part. We are done with the introduction. We have started our intro with the definition of globalization 4.0, and in the definition I have mentioned the advantages also, because of course सब कुछ नेगेटिव ही नहीं होगा, पॉजिटिव भी है, ठीक है. सो दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव स्टार्टेड माय आंसर विद डेफिनेशन विद एडवांटेजेस. नाउ आई विल से कि बट फॉर इंडियन सोसाइटी इट कैन बी नेगेटिवली, इट कैन नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट इंडियन सोसाइटी बिकॉज ऑफ inherent impediments. Okay, so that was all about the intro part. Now we'll move forward and we'll discuss the main body. So in main body I have discussed the issues. ठीक है, issues with Indian society या yes, Indian society of course. So what are the issues here? And yes, because issues in question, issues are not asked, that is why we have listed the points here instead of detailed discussion. And you can also do one, what we can do is we can also show these issues through infographics. ठीक है, to save your page or to save the word limit, we can show these issues through infographics. Okay, so now start with the first point. Okay, so first issue is lack of skill development among India's workforce. Yes, that's one of the major concern of globalization 4.0, because in Indian, if we see Indian workforce only, according to Human Development Report, only 1 out of 5 of total labor workforce are skilled. 5 में से एक ही skilled है, ठीक है. That is 21.1% of total labor force of India. That is why it's a problem, because globalization 4.0 is technology driven, but in our society in India only 21.1% of total labor force are skilled. That is why we need a framework to protect those vulnerable sections of society which are not, or which are unskilled. That is why we need a framework. ठीक है. Okay, so next is increase in inequalities in India. Okay, how it's going to increase inequality in India? As we know, there is a huge digital divide in India. So of course डिजिटल डिवाइड बहुत ज़्यादा है, एंड एज वी नो टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प्स इकोनॉमी टू ग्रो, बट इट इम्पैक्ट्स may vary country to country. It may be beneficial for the developed country and it may not be beneficial for the developing country like India, ठीक है, because of lack of skilled labor force in India. So that is why in this way it's going to increase inequalities between the developed and developing countries, and yes, between in society also, within the society also. Okay, so now next is it will impact migrants and remittances. How it's going to impact migration and migrants and remittances? Because globalization 4.0 is technology driven, so it may be possible that physical presence of their employees is not needed, ठीक है, their physical presence in the office is not required. So yes, it's going to impact the migration pattern. And how remittances? As we know, globalization 4.0 is favoring the skilled people, so it may impact remittances also. Okay, so and yes, the next point is unintended consequences which may not be for yes, these are the consequences which we have not seen yet and will see in future, ठीक है. These consequences we will see in future only, ठीक है. So now that was all about the issues. What are the impediments, what are the issues with the Indian society or with the labor workforce. So till now we have discussed the introduction part. I have started my intro with the definition. Why? Because of course, ya to you can start with the fact also here, but it would be good if you start with the definition of globalization 4.0. Now, for we have discussed the issues. Because why we have discussed the issues? Because question is asking us to prepare a blueprint or prepare a draft. So to prepare a draft or blueprint, it is important to understand the challenges or issues. ठीक है, तभी तो आप blueprint बना पाओगे. So that is why we have discussed the issues also, but we have just listed the points because question is not explicitly asking the issues. Okay, so yes, you can show these issues through infographics also. Now we will move forward and we'll see we'll move forward and we'll discuss the another part of this body. Okay, so considering these all negative consequences of globalization 4.0, that is why we need a framework to capitalize to new opportunity, but it should be what? Sustainable and inclusive. Why inclusive? Because our main concern are unskilled labor here, so it should be inclusive. Skilled are already included in globalization 4.0. Okay, so they are not our major concern. Our major concern are unskilled labor. So framework should be such that it includes all the vulnerable sections here. Okay, that is why it should be inclusive and should be sustainable. Okay, now we will move forward and we'll discuss details of the framework. Now we'll discuss the our framework ki a framework ya draft kaisa hona chahiye. So before starting discussing the framework, or while writing the framework, it is important to keep challenges, okay, to keep all the challenges in mind, and on the basis of those challenges we will build the framework. Okay, like our first challenge was lack of skill development among India's workforce. So our first point is aggressive skilling. Okay, so there is framework क्या है हमारा. Now we are discussing the framework. So yes, we are lacking what? We are lacking, देखो, we can do, this is just to make you understand. Our first challenge was lack of skilled labor. So of course we need a framework for them. So how we will tackle this challenge? By aggressive skilling. Okay, we can tackle by aggressive skilling. For that, what we need to promote innovation in educational programs so that they can better skill. As our national education policy 2020, it is a interplay of what? Both education and technology. So we have already taken one step. Okay, so we need aggressive skilling. Okay, so our next challenge was increasing inequalities in India. Okay, so next challenge kya tha? Increasing inequality. So how we are going to tackle this challenge? We are going to tackle this challenge by decreasing inequality. How we are going to decrease inequality? By implementing taxes on wealthy and corporations, and by providing a higher minimum wage, and by increasing social spending. ठीक है? Okay, our third point is invest in local and regional economies. Okay, so third challenge क्या था? Impact करेगा migrants and remittances को. So how we are going to tackle this? Impact करेगा किसको? Migrants and remittances. Okay, now we will develop a framework to address this issue. How we are going to address this issue? We are going to address this issue by building a resilient local economy to leverage the new opportunities. We will give them new opportunities in our local economy itself. Okay, we'll give them new opportunities in local economy. Okay, so next point is focus on most vulnerable sections. Okay, so यहाँ पे था कि of course in impacts of migrants and remittances we can cover this point also, like vulnerable section का framework. Okay, ठीक है. So vulnerable section. So this is a section actually which always जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा we need to it which suffers a lot. ठीक है. So this is a section which suffers a lot. So what how we can solve or how we can tackle this issue? We can tackle this issue by providing universal and targeted strategies to improve outcome for everyone. ठीक है. So inequality रेस करेगा तो yes we need what targeted approach here. Okay, so we'll move forward. So that was all about the framework. So we have discussed how we have developed our framework. We have developed our framework by keeping challenges on in our mind and uh, yes, by keeping challenges in our mind. Like our first challenge was lack of skilled labor. So how we will address this challenge? Through aggressive skilling. Okay, and second challenge was it will increase inequality. How we are going to address this challenge? By how we will be tackle this challenge by imposing or implementing tax on wealthy corporations, will provide a higher minimum wage and with increased social spending. Okay, so next challenge was it will impact migration and remittances. So how we are going to tackle this? Will provide new opportunity in local economy itself. Will provide a new opportunity in local market, local economy. ठीक है. Okay, so that was all about the main body of the answer. In main body of the answer we have covered two things. We have discussed the issues, and in the second part we have discussed the framework. Okay, so why issues? I have already told you, because we have to develop a framework, and for that understanding the challenges or issues become important. So now we'll move forward towards the conclusion, how we are going to conclude this answer. So there are many ways to conclude the answer, as there are many ways to start the intro. Okay, so I'm not saying whatever I'm showing here, the conclusion or introduction is the best, but yes, these are one of the possible ways to start your answer or to conclude your answer. Okay, so we can conclude by giving way forward. ठीक है, हम ऐसे स्टार्ट कर कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. वी कैन कंक्लूड बाय गिविंग एनी केस स्टडी. We can conclude or example. We can conclude by summarizing our answer. ठीक है. So in this conclusion I am going to conclude my answer by giving way forward. ठीक है. So let's read what my conclusion says. It says deeper engagement and heightened imagination by all its stakeholders can make Indian society more inclusive by leveraging the opportunities of globalization 4.0. ठीक है. So I have given a way forward, means I have given some suggestions here. ठीक है. I have given here, I have concluding my answer mentioning the way forward. ठीक है. So that was all about this answer. So now we will quickly revise what we have covered in this answer. We have covered first, what we have covered the relevance. ठीक है. क्या relevance है? Then we covered this approach part. ठीक है. Then we learned how we can start an introduction. We have discussed our introduction, where we started our answer using definition. Then we have discussed the main body of the answer. In main body of the answer I have divided my answer in two parts. First, the issues. Why issues? Because question is asking us to develop a framework, and to develop a framework it is important to understand or mention the challenges in brief. ठीक है. So this was all about the main body. Then we have discussed the framework. ठीक है. Then we concluded our answer by giving the way forward. So that was all about this answer. Okay.